have ever heard of the term gun control laws? Okay, most of you. Well, gun control laws are a way for the government to control gun sales and how many people own guns. Well, what I'm going to talk to you about today is why law-abiding citizens and professionals, and in the case I'm talking about today, teachers, should be armed. Now, the one that probably touched most of our hearts most recently was Sandy Hook Elementary School. 20 kids and 6 adults were killed because of a gunman who broke into the school. Now, at 9:30 a.m., Sandy Hook Elementary School was locked because the principal was hearing about many shootings and she just wanted the school to be more secure. Well, what happened was the gunman actually shot his way around the system and shot his way into the school. At 9:31, Dawn Hochsprung, the principal, the school psychologist Mary Sherlock, and vice principal Natalie Heyman all heard gunshots. So immediately they went out into the hallway to see what was going on. And next thing they knew, they were looking down the barrel of a gun. Now, if they would have been armed, that would have been a 3-to-1 ratio. Right there, they could have stopped that gunman and a lot less kids could have been not murdered, or he could have gotten past them, and then still the teachers could have been armed and they could have stopped him. Heyman was the only survivor out of the 2 that were there. At 9:35, the announcement was made that there was a man in the school with a gun and to hide all the kids. He made his way to the first kindergarten room, and there was a substitute teacher there. 14 kids and the sub was killed, every single person in that room. He made it to the next room, Victoria Soto, who many people look at as the hero of this whole situation because she told her kids to go into the closet, go into the bathroom, cabinets, wherever they could go to hide. And he ended up killing her along with 6 others dead. But my point I'm trying to get across here is if any of them would have been armed, they could have walked in, shot him, and those kids would have been alive today. And the sad thing about this, the police arrived 20 minutes later. 20 minutes was a long time for them to arrive after this. Another point was Aurora, Colorado. A lot of people may not have heard about this, but it did happen. It was the Batman premiere, the midnight premiere. A man walked in, sat in the front row, dressed as the Joker. Well, what he did was when the Joker came up actually on the screen in the movie, he got up in front of everybody, turned around, said, "I'm the Joker." He just went on and on about giving this long speech. Everybody thought it was just entertainment, so they went along with it. And then during the movie, there was tear gas. And what happened was he had a bottle of tear gas with him, and when it went, he went like this. It exploded everywhere, and everybody obviously still thought it was part of the movie because it was the premiere. And next thing they know, they're looking at a black silhouette with a gun pointing right at their faces. Now, in America, it's illegal for people, even if you have a CCW certification, you're not allowed to carry a gun into a theater. Well, obviously, because he knew absolutely nobody could be in there with a gun, 12 people were killed and 58 were injured. He ran up and down the aisles, and anybody who tried to escape, he shot at him. He finally took his own life, and it ended. But if someone would have been armed there, this whole situation would have been avoided. Another one that mostly everybody knows about is the Columbine Massacre. Two boys at this high school decided they just wanted to go on a killing spree. They arrived at 11:30 to the school, and they walked into the cafeteria where most kids just threw their bags and kept them there for the day. Well, they brought in two 10-pound bombs into the school at 11:17, dropped them in the cafeteria. It was camouflaged in with all the others, so nobody really noticed anything. They left the school at 11:14 and then went out to their cars. They waited till 11:17 where the bombs were timed to go off. Nothing happened. Well, at 11:19, a About a mile down the road, they set off 2 more bombs to create a distraction for the police, so they'd automatically go there so they could come in and then shoot up the school and have free range. Well, at 11:19, the bomb went off in the field. They decided that the bombs weren't going to go off in the school, so they went in. They were armed with a semi-automatic gun, 2 shotguns, a rifle. They had a bunch of ammo, knives, a grenade, and then they covered it all up with the trench coat. They walked into the school and they had their guns armed, and people thought, because they were seniors, this was just a senior prank, and they thought they were paintball guns. So nobody really thought of anything. Well, there were 2 janitors and 1 teacher in the cafeteria, and they realized this was absolutely no joke. They walked in, the 2 janitors were killed, and the teacher was killed. The kids were instructed to leave the cafeteria at once, go hide wherever they possibly could. At 11:29, the 2 boys made their way into the library. They started asking all sorts of questions like, oh, do you want to die? And they were trying to get them to listen to them before they got killed. 10 were killed, 12 were injured in there, along with the librarian. At 2:02, the police arrived. 37 minutes later, after the announcement was made, or after the police were called. 37 minutes. Obviously, a lot can happen in 37 minutes. If those janitors and that teacher and that librarian would have been armed, this would not have happened. At 12:05, they took their lives. In conclusion, my point is, gunmen aren't dumb. They know that they can enter a place where nobody's going to be armed. Obviously, they're not going to go into a place like, for instance, Johnson's Sporting Goods, the local gun shop here. They're not going to go in there because obviously they know that every single employee there is armed with a gun. So they're not going to try to go in there because they know their chances of getting shot are greater. The opposing side would say that schools should be weapon free, but obviously, as you can see, if these teachers wouldn't have been armed, this wouldn't have happened. And what's the first thing you do when you see a guy with a gun? You call a guy with a gun, as in the police, who arrives 20 minutes later. Now imagine yourselves 8 to 10 years from now. You're going to be starting families. You're soon going to be sending your kids to school. And imagine you get that call that a gunman has came into the school and your child is now dead. You're thinking, what could have I done different? Why couldn't have this been saved? Well, if teachers would have been, if we armed teachers, this will not happen. A lot can happen in 20 minutes, and all it takes is 3 seconds to pull a gun out of the holster, aim, and fire. I'm going to leave you with this. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.